Next month, the British government will begin the repatriation of illegal migrants arriving in Britain. This announcement was made after the Safety of Rwanda Bill passed through the British Parliament on 23 April 2024. The bill, which was introduced in the House of Commons on 7 December 2023 by the British Home Secretary, James Cleverly, passed through both Houses of Parliament, received royal assent on 25 April 2024, and came into force this same day. The coming into force of this act gave the government the green light to tackle illegal immigration and stop the boats conveying illegal migrants from France to the United Kingdom. According to the British Prime Minister, the Safety of Rwanda Act 2024 is already serving as a deterrent to illegal migrants with the intention of travelling to the UK illegally by boat. Upon the passage of the bill on 23 April 2024, the British Home Office declared, "The passage of the bill means the government can enter the final phase of operational planning to get flights off the ground to Rwanda, pioneering a new response to the global challenge of illegal migration." Robust operational plans are in place to ensure a first flight to Rwanda can be delivered within 10 to 12 weeks, with multiple flights set to take off after this. The landmark legislation means that going forward, Rwanda should be deemed a safe country for the purposes of relocating people, including in UK courts and tribunals. It will prevent legal challenges from being used to delay or halt a person's removal to Rwanda on the grounds that Rwanda is generally unsafe, or that an individual will be returned to an unsafe country after removal to Rwanda, an act known as refoulement. The bill makes it unambiguously clear that the UK Parliament is sovereign, and the validity of any act of Parliament is unaffected by international law. Ministers will be able to retain the decision on whether to comply with interim measures from the European Court of Human Rights, for example, a Rule 39 injunction. The British Home Secretary James Cleverly later declared, "The vital legislation means we can now proceed with our Rwanda plan and begin removing people with no right to be here. The only way to stop the boats is to eliminate the incentive to come, by making clear that if you are here illegally, you will not be allowed to stay. Our policy does exactly that, and plans are well underway to begin flights within 10 to 12 weeks." The British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak also declared, "The passing of this landmark legislation is not just a step forward but a fundamental change in the global equation on migration. We introduced the Rwanda Bill to deter vulnerable migrants from making perilous crossings and break the business model of the criminal gangs who exploit them. The passing of this legislation will allow us to do that and make it very clear that if you come here illegally, you will not be able to stay. Our focus is to now get flights off the ground, and I am clear that nothing will stand in our way of doing that and saving lives." Contrary to what was first said 1 month earlier, on 23 May 2024, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced that no flights would go to Rwanda before the 4 July general election. As expected, there were criticisms against the law from many quarters. The leader of the opposition Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer, described the government's entire Rwanda policy as a gimmick that would not only fail but also cost an absolute fortune. Some British opposition parliamentarians and NGOs working on asylum and migration issues added their voices against the new legislation. Unexpectedly, two international bodies, the Council of Europe and the United Nations, added their voices expressing their dissatisfaction with the new legislation. The Commissioner for Human Rights of the Council of Europe, Michael O'Flaherty, stated, "The adoption of the Safety of Rwanda, Asylum and Immigration Bill by the UK Parliament raises major issues about the human rights of asylum seekers and the rule of law more generally." He added that, "The United Kingdom government should refrain from removing people under the Rwanda policy and reverse the bill's effective infringement of judicial independence." On the other hand, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees Filippo Grandi described the new legislation as a further step away from the UK's long tradition of providing refuge to those in need, in breach of the Refugee Convention. He added that the UK's new arrangement sought to shift responsibility for refugee protection, undermining international cooperation and setting a worrying global precedent. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk was equally critical, saying, by shifting responsibility for refugees, reducing the UK's courts' ability to scrutinise removal decisions, restricting access to legal remedies in the UK and limiting the scope of domestic and international human rights protections for a specific group of people. This new legislation seriously hinders the rule of law in the UK and sets a perilous precedent globally. He added that it is critical to the protection of the human rights and dignity of refugees and migrants seeking protection that all removals from the UK are carried out after assessing their specific individual circumstances in strict compliance with international human rights and refugee law. In my view, the UK government is trying to do the best for its country by protecting its borders from illegal migration. Migration is good for the growth and development of any country, and granting international protection to politically persecuted individuals or economic migrants is also good. But in a situation where illegal migration becomes massive and uncontrollable, the host country might get to a stage where it becomes overwhelmed. As the former British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, once said, the UK has unlimited intention to help the needy, but its resources are limited. Besides, many British citizens are worried that the mass migration of people from different cultures into the UK might lead to British citizens being a minority in their own country in the near future. The Economic Times published in November 2010 that white Britons will be a minority by 2066 if immigration continues in the UK. Let's think about it. No citizen of any country in the world would want to be a minority in his or her own country under no circumstances. So, what do you think? Do you think that the British government did the right thing by sponsoring the bill in the British Parliament to be passed into law? Do you think that the British government shouldn't restrict the influx of illegal migrants into its country? Share your thoughts and leave your comments in the comment section. This is the end of the video. Subscribe to this channel for more content about UK and EU immigration. Thanks for watching.